This is the Sport Fishing Championship.
Let's get ready to wrap up this final day of competition. The South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown. They are heading in as we speak, live shots as they make their way in towards Cape May for this final day of competition. They stopped fishing a few hours ago, had to work their way back. This is stop number 7 of 11 of the Sport Fishing Championship, part of our Atlantic Division. Again, time to get the boats clean. The fishing's been done. Robbie Floyd with Peter Miller. And Peter, a lot of disappointment for some of these teams. Some are probably going to be happy, even though it was a light catching weekend. Somebody's going to win this thing one way or another.
Listen, if you can catch yellowfin tuna and make some money while doing it, why not? Let's have some sashimi, a couple of Sapporos, a little wasabi and soy sauce. Listen, they had a great time. They're with their family members, they're with their friends, and they're catching a bunch of fish. And what could be better than that? Look at this young lady right there, just
Asha
savoring up
Chakrabarti. I've been practicing her name all week, Asha Chakrabarti. We saw her with a yellowfin tuna catch as well on the Sport Fishing Championship, part of our Invincible Boats yellowfin tuna class. If it's a big one, if it's a massive one, it might take over the lead. Again, you better have a really big fish if you're going to do that. Let's take a look at our venue here, Peter. 100-mile radius circle that they could not fish outside. And starting on day 1, or actually day 3, let's look at some of our updates this morning. At Irish Eyes, almost back-to-back. That's what you want to see, the way that we want to get this day started with both of those two catches.
That's right, and then you've got Woodstock lost to white marlin. You know, that's the kind of fish you don't want to lose, and unfortunately they did, but at least they had one up in their spread, so it gets them coming back another day. Kind of like a great golf shot.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, the lost white marlin, but look, as the day progressed, and we just had these come in just a moment ago at Jiminy, we didn't have reports, and I always say everything we say is officially unofficial, but Jiminy with a couple of yellowfin catches, and then we also have Blueprint with a mahi-mahi. We still don't know the size of that one because maybe it is big enough. You need to be a 40-pounder to qualify on the Sport Fishing Championship to maybe win that $50,000 prize. Here's our playing field as our Garmin playing field. We look out at it, and the thing that is key is that shelf, those canyons.
That is the continental shelf, and that 100-mile radius is what you kind of want to see when you get into a tournament, because if it's too wide, you just don't have a shot if the bite is somewhere else. You have to kind of just stick to your plan where you go, but this allows you to get to the area in case someone hooks up, and it's a good area, and you want to get there fast. You can.
Good chemistry on the 61-foot Viking boat. Again, they finished in the top 3 last year, finishing 3rd, I believe, overall. It looked like in a tie for 3rd. So one of the teams to look for, along with Outrage, maybe Canyon Lady, those are your top 3 competitors overall last year, but a different style of fishing than we've seen early on, say, in the Gulf Division just a couple of rounds ago.
That's right, and that is a 61 Viking we're looking at there, readying the teasers as always, and readying the green machines and the birds, and doing everything they got to do to try to raise those fish up. They raised up a bunch of tuna. That's what they did.
Now, we saw a lot of squid chains in previous events. We're seeing a lot more birds here. There, the difference is the birds disturb the water a little bit more. They've got these little arms out there. Now, those, they look like squids. They look like they're little mini green squids.
Yeah, you know, it's just the action that they provide. And on those are squid bars. We've got our squid chains. We've got our birds. Those are squid bars, and it just looks like a school of fish trying to get away. And who doesn't like a little calamari? We know these billfish love to eat it. When I've caught swordfish, they've had their bellies full of squid.
There's a place in Little Rock, Arkansas, best calamari I've ever had. I took you there once, right?
That's right. Yep, and it was on you. It was excellent. Thank you.
Some of the equipment we're seeing a little bit lighter, kind of mid-range rod and reel combinations for these teams. There's Asha with one on here. We don't see the big winch cranks. This is all stand-up fishing here.
That rod and reel setup right there, just at first glance, that could pretty much do everything you need on stand-up tackle. That can do white marlin, can do blue marlin. You know, that's going to be some light drag on that fish, and you can race out, race backwards, and get that fish.
Is that another boat? Yeah, I see another boat in the background. I mean, surely this thing didn't fish that small, did it? I mean, that you would have 100 miles to work around, and yet somebody, you're on my spot.
Listen, these guys have radar. They can see the birds on the radar. They will race to the spot, and if they see whales, bait, and birds, they're staying.
Well, didn't we hear that from teams yesterday when they come off the water? Yesterday was actually an off day. It was a 3-day event, but a 2-day fishing tournament. And yesterday they said they saw a lot of life out there in there. Not too many bites, but they saw a lot of fish.
Right, and that's very interesting. There's a lot of times where you'd love to stop and be able to deploy a live bait into those big schools of fish, but in this particular tournament, You're not allowed to use live bait.
Yeah, this is maybe some pre-caught bait that is wired on just behind that teaser or that lure and trying to catch them. Either way, it's more than one way to do things, and we see a tuna on board for good chemistry.
Good job, everybody.
How was that?
Good.
You a little tired?
A little. Give me 5. Good job. I'll get the bag in a minute.
So it was Ashley. It might actually be Aisha. That sounds like that would be.
Well, Robbie, either way, we're looking at an incredible image from the drone, looking at those dredges and those teasers on the surface. That's incredibly beautiful. I want to be there, right there, looking at those.
I mentioned Outrage earlier. They finished second last year in their 52-foot Viking. One of the teams to look for them. But everybody has a different way of doing things, a different presentation. How many rods you have with lines out? Again, you said there's been multiples, many. But again, if you get more than one on at a time, it can be a mad scramble. But if you get one on, it can also be a scramble as well. They're just looking for the fish on sound.
Looking for anything with a bill, man. We got 2 dredges out, 2 bridge teasers out, 4 baits and a lure. And hopefully we get lucky today, you know. Get a couple of points for a 2-day tournament. Anyways, beautiful day out here, and wish us luck.
Yeah, Peter, I said, yeah, they're looking for a sound, but they're trying to hear that sound of drag being taken or the release of, you know, the way.
Subtlest little clip, Robbie. It pops out of the clip and you hear that just like that, and then that could change your entire day. So he's got 5 baits out, and he's got 4 teasers out. So you got 9 lines going into the water. So when you get a fish on, you better clear, or you better hope for that quad like we talked about earlier. Let the fish clear them for you. That's my favorite way to do it.
Would you rather have the outsides with the one on or one in the middle, or whichever? Doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. As long as one's on, I don't care if it's outside, inside, long, short. Just get one on the line. I'll do the rest of the work from here.
So our team has been running pretty consistent for about 3 years now. And then we always try to fun fish, and we always fun fish the way that we tournament fish. That way everybody kind of stays in the same rhythm and responsibilities, which really makes a good team. You know, you got to practice.
You know, fishing with Mike before back in South Florida, they pay attention to detail like nobody else, and that's a reason why they're catching these fish. Yes, it's not the blue marlin or the white marlin they were looking for, but they are hooked up. They have a lot of action. I understand they may have missed a white marlin on day 1, but these guys are good. They're a team that has stuck together. They take care of their boats, you know, immaculately, and all their tackle is perfect. It's just a question of will the hook stay in the fish.
John Doherty, with just a few minutes remaining on that day, I believe, able to get a yellowfin tuna on board. Again, that fight, and again, in that last 15 minutes, too, all the pressure's on you. They had to stop fishing at 3:30 in the afternoon. They couldn't start till the morning at what, 8 o'clock, but they had only till 3:30 in the afternoon to fish.
Ronnie, that's another Ronnie right there.
Did you just Ronnie me?
That Robbie, Ronnie, everybody that's listening, anybody with an R-sounding name, we've got Ronnie with a gap, and my boy Mike is on the leader there, and they're about to gap this fish. You can see how intense they are. Look at that. He's down deep with the knees bent, and he sticks that fish. Strong guy bringing a nice fish in. Nice tuna.
A quality catch, and for the local event, they actually get a pound or a point per pound. So they want these big fish because it gives them extra points.
When fishing's hard, you know, do you switch up? Do you look at the leaderboards here, whether, you know, has somebody caught 5 marlin, you don't have any, do you switch over to the meat category and try to catch them? As a captain, it all depends on what's going on. You know, we had pretty hard fishing yesterday. There was no billfish caught, so yeah, I say we stick it out with our normal spread, which is primarily a billfish spread. And just try to get a couple billfish for the points, because obviously they mean more points than meat fish poundage. So our strategy is still to stick with it. Now, midday, if we hear over the radio, you know, boat X got, you know, 900 points in billfish and we're still without it. Then you got to start thinking about switching it up over to maybe a meat fish category, especially when you're playing points and not weight. You know, weight, I always stick to my guns because you never know if the big guy hits your bait. But points, you got to strategize.
Yeah, and last year they won the white marlin division, one of 4 teams that caught a white marlin, along with good chemistry. Salty Tiger, I like to call him Salty Tiger Spitting Dragon. They got a yellowfin too. Oh, there. Helen, I like Helen. What's her style? She wanted to get this fish in the boat.
We're aboard the Salty Tiger today, a 62-foot bayless out of Cape May, New Jersey. We opted to go south today as opposed to last week we went north in search of the fish. With the participants as well as ourselves, hopefully we'll find the fish because it's been rather slow yet. What's biting and where?
You're seeing the over-under there for the mates and the crew that's all around. You got to clear those other lines, Peter. There's one on. There could be another one somewhere in that mix as well. So they're keeping lines out as much as they can, but they also got to keep the tangles out of the way.
That's a good call. You know, you always want to have that one bait in the water because you know fish are going to be hanging around the fish. That's waiting for them to spit up or regurgitate what they've been chowing on.
A cool question. I know mahi-mahi, they always say leave them in the water. Tuna is similar at all? I mean, you want to get it in, but is there any similarity between a mahi and a tuna as far as the multiples?
Yeah, you'll get a multiple hookup, but they won't stay around your boat unless you're live chumming or you're throwing chunks. You know what you find if you leave a tuna in the water? You find a shark eating it.
Oh, that's true.
You have a mahi in the water?
I've been there.
Not so much.
I've been there before. Getting a workout, isn't she?
Yeah, she's wearing that harness. It's, you know, it's helping her quite a bit with that fighting belt on her upper thighs there, supporting her. You know, even though it's a small fish, you never know what you're going to catch. You have to be prepared.
Now watch what happens here, because it needs to be a keeper fish has to be a certain length. That's for the regulations for the area that you're in, right? But to be a qualifying fish, it has to be probably at least that certain length, but also a certain weight to qualify for the tournament.
Yeah, it's got to be 35 pounds to qualify for the tournament, minimum 35 pounds. But in the Atlantic where they're fishing off Jersey, the requirement I think is 28 inches to be able to keep that particular fish. They can keep that for food, but they can't enter it in the tournament.
We did catch a tuna.
So let's listen.
Heard some other fish being caught down in Washington Canyon. Overall, it sounded like it was a slow day, so we're going to prepare for Saturday's fishing when we get back to the dock. Hopefully we can change our luck around and catch a boatload of tuna fish or maybe some billfish. But as of right now, we did the best we could and did catch at least one fish.
So it was a quality fish, just not big enough to add up those weight points as we were hearing about just a moment ago. Here's running down a dream, and it was more of a nightmare this week. They might be Tom Petty fans, but that 43 Jupiter's hauling back Luca Carfano and crew. Didn't catch the billfish they were looking for, but hopefully we'll see them at the next event up in Martha's Vineyard. We still got more of the Sport Fishing Championship ahead.
SFC coverage of the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is sponsored by Seaholm Watches, by Smith Optics, and by Fish Razor Tournament Grade Tackle.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
Remember, everything begins in the morning. Every story told is a fisherman's tale. We build watches tough enough to be a part of that tale. The perfect balance of beauty and brawn. We are Seaholm. Watches that last a lifetime. Seaholm Automatic, the official timepiece of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
see it, live it, love it. The largest in-water boat show in the world, the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. More than 3 million square feet, fishing boats to super yachts, engines, accessories, learning experiences, and culinary delights. Save the dates, October 26th through 30th. Details at flibs.com.
It all comes back to the water. This binding agent. This fluid history of connection. Past, present, and future, all tied together through this never-ending, unwavering force. We belong to a community of seekers, anglers, and everyone in between. For us, it's more than fishing, much more. It's who we are, who we were, and who we aspire to be. We are Smith.
SFC coverage of the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is sponsored by Sword Fishing Products, by Publix, and by Yugo.
See, Peter, if we go out on the water next week, I'm going to throw my food from Publix in my Yugo. I know it'll keep it dry, and we'll be good to go. Got it?
That's a phenomenal idea. They have they call them like sub holders. You could do that too, but Yugo, that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Put your cell phone in there.
Peter, let's take a look ahead with Smith Optics. I know where we're going. I talked about next week. We're going to Martha's Vineyard, Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic. I can't wait. I've never been there. We're going to be at Falmouth. They're going to actually have 2 different locations for the weigh-in and the presentation. So I'm really looking forward to going to my first SFC event in person.
You know, Rob, you wouldn't believe it, but I actually grew up going to that area as a kid. Every year we rented a house on this lake, and I caught trout, and we went offshore. We caught little tunas, and we had a great time out there. It's beautiful. The beaches are incredible. The houses are quaint. I mean, everything about it is absolutely awesome.
And then here, it's a 3-day event with 2 days of fishing. There, it's a 4-day event with 2 days of fishing. They have to identify which day they fish or the day before. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's going to be a guessing game, and there's going to be some strategy involved as well. Running Down a Dream, one of our teams, we saw them making a run in earlier. Again, they must be Tom Petty fans, that 43 Jupiter. Luca Carfano, but we saw also how they were doing things and making little turns, and you love seeing those outboards in the center console, but it's how they do it that makes their team that's a little special touch.
They're maximizing absolutely everything, and as we're watching it, you don't think there's enough lines out there? You see another teaser going out off the port side there, and they have the bird chains out there. They have squid chain teasers. They've got dredges, and then they have baits and lures. Yeah, we've got more than what you actually see now. Once they make the turn here, you're going to get a beautiful aerial shot how these teasers and these lures get into that beautiful slick calm water out of that prop wash. But you can see that bird sitting there right next to the foam, meaning they were tuna birds. That's a tuna bird. It's a dark bird. They come in and eat all the fish that the tunas are scaring up, and once they're full and the tunas kind of chill out, they sit down in the water and try to digest. And we've seen different types of teasers and varieties and stuff, and everybody has their certain way of doing it, and there's another great shot. That's the shot.
There's that spread we were looking at from behind, but watch in just a second on the far left of your screen, you're going to see another stream show up, and I really wasn't expecting that. It just shows you how far out they are.
Yeah, they're putting those lures in the turn, and a lot of times if you miss a bite, you kind of take a slow turn and you want to get those lures in that clean water because the fish are, not that strong. They're not coming on that hot, so you kind of put the lures there, you make the turn, they might be more apt to bite it if they could see it clearly, and that's exactly what they're doing there.
They're coming up from behind. That's the first one they come up to as well. Jeannie G, the 44-foot ocean yachts, Norm Gearhart, Chuck Dornish on board. One of our teams we had camera crews on this week as well as our Garmin look out into the water, staying inside that 100-mile radius.
This is a tournament that we've wanted to do for a long time. It's more of a family-friendly tournament versus, an all-money tournament. So we have our friends that are going to be on the boat with us. And strategy-wise, it's all about temperature. A couple weeks ago we were a little worried. The temperatures kind of moved out of the area. They seem to be back now, so we're going to give it a good try and see what happens.
It's a fun tournament, and that's what we were looking for. I got some of my best friends on the boat. When we were looking at boats, I looked at Joe because when you go up in the bridge, you're going to see it's got a long nose on it. I said, are you going to be able to get this thing out of the slip? He said, I'll get it out of the slip. And that's when we bought the boat.
All right, well, we are about midway through the day at this point. We're in a good spot. We're about 72 miles outside of Cape May. We have signs of life here. We have bait fish that are here. We have dolphin that are swimming around. Water temperatures here. Everything's looking good. Unfortunately, we don't have any fish yet, but we still have a couple hours to go, so we're going to give it the best try we can. Yeah, I know.
Hey, Robbie, I love the fact that that's why they got that boat, because his buddy said, you know what, I love it so much, I know I can back this thing out and pull it back into that slip.
I can park the boat in the harbor.
And that's how it all happens. That's how this legacy starts. That little moment right there. I remember buying my first boat. I looked at my buddy like, are you going to help me pay for gas? Will you help me wax this boat once in a while? Will you think we can keep it here or there? Yeah, and that's how it all starts.
Is this a case of having two fish on at one time for these guys?
Yep, they got a little one there. They decided to put the gaff away because they see the hook is set in his mouth real well, so they can swing them in. Probably like a 10-pounder, 8-pounder.
Again, probably not a legal catch, and they'll put it back out. It's definitely not big enough to get in that 35-pound range to bring on board to get points for the, as they call it, the meat fish category.
If they were in the Gulf, that thing would be deployed instantly for a jumbo.
That would be the bait.
Oh, that would be perfect.
We saw it. Still doing that dance. Again, several lines out at a time. Now they can see the color of that fish and got to get ready to get it on board. Again, this is a weight. These are points. They could win them this event.
So the drive for me for getting into a tournament is I 100%, and I always have since I was a little boy, I love being a captain. I love being up there. Being able to do it, not only do it, but do it with my best friend, my dad, who's standing right over there. That's what it's all about.
Peter, you saw the emotion from him. I know it says it in front of our venue here. The passion is real. Absolutely is. These guys are competitors. It's a family sport, and we love it at the Sport Fishing Championship. Stick with us.
The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation is honored to be the official charity of the Sports Fishing Championship. Through this partnership and the support of donors like you, future generations will enjoy and benefit from a naturally balanced ocean ecosystem. Our education programs, both in the classroom and online, bring to life the work needed to make sure we have clean oceans for decades to come. Join us today at www.ghof.org.
Sometimes saying no can be really difficult. It's hard to set boundaries, to give yourself space and time. Hop water means never having to choose between having fun or missing out. A sparkling hop water full of flavor and packed with mood-boosting benefits that's non-alcoholic with no calories, no carbs, and no sugar. So go out there and get up to no good.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about!
Sport fishing anglers from around the world competing for $1 million. The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
It's the simple things, like spending a day at the beach, splashing in the water, playing in the sand, and creating sandcastle masterpieces. Rediscover fun and family on the beautiful white sand beaches of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach.
SFC coverage of the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is sponsored by Invincible Boats, by Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, and by Salt Life.
Robbie Floyd and Peter Miller here with you on this final day as the boats making their way back in. I believe that's Gypsy working their way back in for the weigh-in. Peter, I saw that commercial with Invincible Boats, and I heard the Ultimate Fishing Machine. Are you getting royalties on their name? Because I thought that was your nickname in high school.
No, I'm not, but they do treat me well, and I love my Invincible. Invincible Boats, Championship Fish Division, that's for sure.
The yellowfin tuna, we have a lot of competitors that could actually maybe take the title here, but we have not seen any bigs. No big yellowfin tuna. That's what you need if you're going to win this. Again, our biggest fish of the year. In the Wahoo division, Marisela Echeverria from Corrales. That was the boat back in Punta Cana, 73.8. Now, I know next week, when I'm looking at my research, they caught one over 100 pounds bigger than that just in the past few years.
Absolutely remarkable. That is a dinosaur, if that's the case. 180 pounder. That comes with a Tyrannosaurus Rex right next to it.
We know we've got a mahi-mahi coming in from Blueprint, but will it beat this one? Again, our mahi-mahi leader, Angelo De Paloa from Orange Beach, Alabama event, 40-pounder. There's 40-pounders out there. I've seen it. I think last year might have had a 40.
That's a solid fish. I won a tournament with a 44, biggest fish we had in Miami, and that was a lot of fun. Big fish. You always think they're a little bigger when they're on the gap.
Invincible Boats, yellowfin tuna, second wins. Drew Phillips, what a beast. Out of Biloxi, Mississippi, event stop number 5, 206.9 pounds. We've got yellowfin tuna coming in by the day. I don't know. Maybe there were some bluefin that were that size, but we have not seen anything even close to a yellowfin that size here at this
event. That is their biggest fish that they've ever caught on second wind, so you're going to need to take a second wind when winding one of those in.
It's a beast. Running down a Dream and Gypsy near each other. Gypsy actually had the first catch of the tournament on day one. They would back it up. They were our leader after that first day of the tournament. Had about 91 pounds. So 2 fish, about 45 pounds apiece. And then on the day number 2, they caught one as well. Another yellowfin tuna on there. They're in the running. This could be the winning team for this event.
Yeah, and they're doing absolutely everything possible. They're throwing out everything and the kitchen sink. Not just, they have everything deployed, trying for everything, and they're hooked up with 8 fish right here. Nice and relaxed. You put the fighting belt on. You want to make sure that in case it is a good fish, that you're not struggling to put it on midway through the fight. So let's just get it over with, put it on, let's go to work.
This was 9 a.m. day 1. Jerry McGraw with a fish on. They were their first of the tournament.
Good.
I got color here. Get a gap. Huh? Lift and reel down good. Go up, pump it a little. There you go. Keep doing that. Crank. There you go. First one of the canyon season, boys. Good job. Get them back out. Good one, Jerry. How's it going? My name's Taylor Sanford, captain of the Gypsy, fishing day 1 of the Offshore Showdown. We started off the yellowfin early, and it's been quite slow since. We got an update on our charts, saw that there's a little better altimetry up inshore, so that's the plan now, is push inshore and keep looking.
Danny Colwitz would back it up later on in the day with about 15 minutes left. At 3:17 was their marked time. So Danny Colwitz, Jerry McGraw got them on the leaderboard, put them up top. They needed to do something today.
Yeah, and as you know, they bring their own fans along. It's very important to have your Instagram fans, your Facebook fans. It's important. I bring a fan on the boat occasionally, an electric fan.
You haven't taken me. I'm a fan.
Well, now
there's the birds we were talking about with
the
flappy arms, and green seems to be the color around here.
Every time you see that, I see birds in the background, so it kind of throws me for a loop there. I saw 2 tuna birds, and then he's putting out birds. You see all those birds there? That's why they're fishing there. That's why they're putting those baits out right there.
Now, Gypsy, I mentioned Danny Kolwitz. We also have him with a catch today. This is the one that didn't get away. They've got one on the line. We have not seen any of this footage. They just were able to send it, and this is earlier today, and this could be the winning fish for them.
Oh, yeah, you can see his harness set up. You see the way it's squeezing his kidneys right there?
Squats?
He's got, no, the way it's squeezing his kidneys means that he's got a lot of pressure on that fish, and he's pumping it up really hard. It's really got him squeezed in.
I like, you know, how you talk about how he's like sitting down, like going in that seat.
Right.
Even with the fighting chair, you're not doing it with a folding back. You're doing it with your butt and legs.
It's a lot of legs. It's a lot of, like, you know, your entire core, but much less arms until you get to a point where the fish is running at you. Then you find yourself, you know, throwing your arms in there a little bit. But it looks like they're getting close. They got the gaff out. They got the leader man nearby.
We know that it needs to be at least, 35 pounds to be a qualifying fish for the tournament here.
Correct.
Again, is this going to be an invisible boats yellowfin tuna? We have not seen it. The gaff's coming out.
Oh, it feels like it is.
It's taking him to the side, but this could be a winning fish. Remember, the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown is yet to be determined.
This is Taylor Sanford, captain of the Gypsy. We had a slow day today, about one yellow, probably around 40 pounds. Ample whales in life, squid boats catching squid, but it was slow for marlin and tuna. My guys worked hard, I'm very proud of them, and just hope the scales hold our fate now and have a safe ride in.
Garmin Team Spotter looking where we're at here in the Mid-Atlantic states. We're at Cape May, New Jersey, on the southern tip of the Garden State here. Sport Fishing Championship. And we just heard Team Gypsy as we're looking on board there. A 40-pounder plus the 91 pounds they have, that's 131 pounds. So you would have to have Irish Eyes, needs a couple of 44-pounders or around that, 44-pound average to be able to win this thing at this rate.
And I'm kind of stuck on the fact that he talked about squid boats. How often do you hear the term squid boats? Boats out there catching squid,
looking for
so
the
you
calamari.
know they are feeding. So there's everything out there. All the conditions seem to be right, and it seemed that there would be blue marlin and white marlin in the area, but it was mainly tuna.
Again, Irish Eyes yesterday had a 54-pounder. I mean, we know that's a good one, so they don't necessarily need 44 pounds out of each one of these. They only need about 40 pounds or so. But Irish Eyes also have 3 fish that were on board, and 2 of them came today. So, again, it's a big day. It's the final day of competition here at the Sport Fishing Championship. Stop number 7 of 11, the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown. Everything's done except for the cleanup. We saw guys, swabbing the deck, scrubbing the boats, getting ready to go. Peter Miller, now it's time for the weigh-in. We know Gypsy, he guessed around 40 pounds. If it's 41, it could make a difference. Every ounce counts, every pound counts in the competition.
That's right. They have a 40-pound fish that they just caught. That would give them 131, like Robbie said, and that could be the difference of winning or losing. The tuna bite was pretty decent. The marlin bite was not, but these guys were catching fish with their families, with their friends, with newcomers, females, kids, you name it. We had a 20-year-old captain running a boat. I mean, this is kind of some epic stuff.
A 14-year-old angler.
To see it.
Yeah, 14, 13-year-old angler, 20-year-old captain. Amazing, the youth of the sport. Let's go on site with Site 1 and see who we've got this week. Oh, look, is that Matty? Is that what I'm seeing there? He's Matt Klosterman. Only, I think Grandma used to call him Matty, but I had to do it at least once on site with Site 1. All right, Matt, let's talk about this event. We didn't see any billfish. I know everything's officially unofficial. That's the last thing you've heard, right, is all the teams are making their way in?
Correct, Robbie. At this point, no billfish, kind of a tough tournament for our bills, but it was a good tuna catch, as Peter had mentioned, so it's the way it goes. It's fishing, not catching.
As far as the weather, the lady said it was raining, wet. We saw different conditions today. Do you think that was a factor as well? We know that Gulf Stream and how it works in and out around that shelf is a factor. Do you think the physical weather in the atmosphere was a factor today as well?
I don't know if it was so much that. We did have the rain inshore, but talking to some of the boats that got back in earlier, it wasn't too bad out there. Just maybe a little too calm, Peter. Those days when there's not a ripple on the water might have affected it. Just the fish could maybe outsmart us today.
Yeah, Matt, did they have many bites, like misses? What did you hear on that? Because we've seen like 1 or 2, but we haven't heard many more.
I've heard of a couple, Peter. We did have one of our boats today that actually had the white marlin on for over a minute, got a few jumps out of him, but pulled the hooks before they could get it to the boat. So not a whole lot of action, but we did have a few misses, and it was 2 or 3.
Matt, let's look ahead with Smith Optics. We do it quite often. I'm looking forward to being there in person and doing all my research about the area. A lot of things to do, like we saw the Gale Force Twins do this week, but a ton of things to do around Martha's Vineyard. But the fishing could be fantastic. I know that 100-mile barrier is now 130. That could probably help things as well. The water temp seems to be getting right. I think we're in looking forward to some big things next week.
Yeah, absolutely. The word we're hearing out of the northeast of us here is that there is a strong tuna bite. All 3 species. They have yellowfin, bluefin, and big eyes. They've actually seen a few white marlins show up this week, and with all those tuna, Peter, you know that a blue marlin's got to show up. And my prediction is if it does show up, it's probably going to be pretty healthy, because these tuna they're bringing in here are all 40 and 50 pounds. So pretty good snack. Got to be a pretty good sized marlin to snack on these guys. So we're really looking forward to getting up there. And like you say, the currents are getting right, the temperatures are getting right, and we expect quite a bit of action next week up at the OBBC.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it, all the work that you do, and we'll see you next week. Just a couple of days. It's a 4-day event. They only get to fish 2 of them, Peter. That's going to be a little different. You have to declare the day before which days you want to go out. Let's take a look at the points as they sit right now. Jiminy Crickets, look at that. They're up near the top, 119. That's basically 119 pounds. It should be, Gypsy's going to be above that. They're going to be in that 130 range. But again, they're weighing these fish in as we speak.
That's right. And Gypsy could be underestimating their tuna by a little. So maybe it's 140 pounds. You never know. A lot of good captains will always underestimate because they don't want to be proven wrong at the dock.
And Irish Eyes had a good start. That 54 pounds is a single fish. We know they caught 2 today. So if they catch 2 like that, they could be our winner as well. So Jiminy, Gypsy, Irish Eyes, we think they're your top 3. They should be as it stands right now. Knife Outrage and good chemistry on the board as well. Next week, we move our way up the coast. We were talking about it in Martha's Vineyard. I can't wait to get there. I didn't know Martha's Vineyard was an island. I thought it was just on the coast there where Falmouth is. There's going to be 2 different host sites, and we'll be there in less than a week's time.
That's right. Flying out there Tuesday night. We're excited.
Heading towards Oak Bluffs. It's our next stop. On behalf of Peter Miller, I'm Robbie Floyd. Thanks for watching the Sport Fishing Championship. No billfish this week, but we did see several tuna caught. The Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic next week. It's a 4-day competition. Come out and join us. If not, watch us on sportfishingchampionship.com.
A day out on the water could go great. Or it could have a few minor setbacks. Things could get rough. Or you could lose that $900 smartphone. Whatever the problem, Yugo provides unmatched premium protection for any water sports adventure. Yugo. To get yours, visit YugoWear.com or simply scan the QR code on the screen. And remember, just add water.
Some call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. From music that shakes up your senses to food that wakes up your palate. That joy vibrates in every note we play and spices up every meal we serve. So come live life to the fullest. Come one, come y'all, come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm Sean Ardway, inviting you to plan your trip at LouisianaTravel.com.
So, you want this, but you can't have it without this, or this, or this. Until now, introducing a new way to travel, intranationally. Get all that international charm without ever leaving the country. Right here in St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra. Get all that culture, all the cuisine from that culture. You're welcome. All the gram-worthy sites from that hashtag culture. It's right here at home. St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra. Travel intranationally.
Slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
When it comes to performance, comfort, and functionality, we've got you covered. Performance apparel designed by anglers to make your time on the water better than ever. Salt Life, the official apparel sponsor of the Sport Fishing Championship.